Sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 leading cause of death in the United States. According to the American Heart Association, 4 out of 5 cardiac arrests occur at home. And 90% of people who suffer sudden cardiac arrest outside of the hospital will die if resuscitation is not started within 8 to 10 minutes. Did you know that bystander CPR can double or triple a victim's chances of survival? Unfortunately, less than 32% of sudden cardiac arrest victims receive CPR prior to emergency medical services arriving, per CPR and Sudden Cardiac Arrest 2014. Research suggests that changing the format of cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, to hands-only CPR has increased bystander participation by simplifying the process and addressing fears associated with CPR. I'd like to touch on a couple of main points today. First of all, a greater percentage of the general public are performing hands-only CPR when witnessing another person suddenly collapse in the public setting because of its simplicity. Secondly, the medical community has recognized fear as a major barrier to a bystander-initiated CPR and has addressed this fear by changing the format of cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Let's start by talking about the simplicity of hands-only CPR and how the simplicity has increased the number of bystanders giving CPR when witnessing a sudden cardiac arrest. As you'll see back here on the wall, I have my poster showing hands-only CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation without mouth-to-mouth breaths, and that has been defined by the American Heart Association. In 2008, the American Heart Association began endorsing this hands-only CPR in an effort to increase bystander CPR. That's according to SARE 2008. Hands-only CPR is the term coined by the American Heart Association in 2008. It describes cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, without mouth-to-mouth breaths, as you'll see right here. As you can see, the image displayed here is very simple. It consists of 2 simple steps: activate the emergency response system and begin chest compressions. So number 1, call 911, and number 2, push hard and push fast in the center of the chest. And this has been endorsed by the American Heart Association. In an emergency, adrenaline kicks in. We become fearful and, as a result, forgetful. The American Heart Association, along with the medical community, recognizes this and wants to simplify the life-saving process of CPR so that anyone, anytime, anywhere can receive it. Hands-only CPR was first introduced and implemented in Arizona in 2005. Over a period of 5 years, a study was conducted to see if, in fact, simplifying CPR and changing the format would increase bystander participation. And it did. Bystander participation rates increased from 28% in 2005, to 40% in 2008. And this is according to a study done by Burbro 2010. Information collected by Locke 1995 concluded that hands-only CPR is easier to teach, learn, remember, and perform. Emergency medical dispatchers are able to instruct bystanders over the phone quickly in hands-only CPR due to its simplicity. Recall the 2 simple steps that I showed right here. Call 911, push hard, and push fast. Very simple to instruct over the phone. Now let's talk about fears associated with performing CPR. The medical community has addressed these fears by changing the format of CPR. A common fear associated with CPR is contracting a disease while providing rescue breaths. Per Locke 1995, the fear of contracting hepatitis or HIV/AIDS while performing CPR is a very real fear in today's society. Hands-only CPR eliminates mouth-to-mouth ventilations and focuses solely on chest compressions. This is according to SARE 2008. According to SARE 2008, another common fear associated with giving CPR is that of causing harm to the victim. With this new format, laypersons are educated as to what to expect when CPR is being performed, such as ribs cracking, a patient having a seizure, vomiting, things like this, so they know what to expect. This is according to Cobb, 1992. So shedding light on the unknown helps to alleviate these fears. The last fear I'd like to address is the fear of being sued. According to Cobb, 1992, no bystander has ever been successfully sued for providing CPR. Also included as part of the new CPR curriculum is information about the Good Samaritan Law, which protects persons in these types of situations, according to the American Heart Association 2008. So education can help to eliminate fears. To summarize, the endorsement of hands-only CPR by the American Heart Association in 2008 increased bystander participation in witnessed events of sudden cardiac arrest by changing its format. More bystanders are initiating CPR in cardiac emergencies due to the simplicity of hands-only CPR. The general public is expressing a greater willingness to learn and perform hands-only CPR now that the medical community has recognized and addressed common fears associated with CPR. Since CPR has been shown to double or even triple victims' chances of survival, it is far better to take some kind of action than to take no action at all. By removing common barriers to initiating resuscitation efforts, hands-only CPR is saving more lives every day. Are there any questions?
Yes, can I use hands-only CPR on any age group?
Hands-only CPR is encouraged to be used by the general public on teenagers and adults who have been witnessed to have a sudden cardiac arrest. The American Heart Association still recommends that conventional CPR, so chest compressions and rescue breaths, be used on children, infants, and any victims that have had an unwitnessed cardiac arrest, something that would be uncardiac in nature. And this is according to Sayer 2008.
Why doesn't a person who suddenly collapses need mouth-to-mouth breathing?
Studies have shown that victims who were probably breathing normally up until they collapse have enough oxygen in their blood and in their lungs for the first several minutes after cardiac arrest. So this oxygen just needs to be circulated into their system, into their brain and their other essential organs, hence the importance of these continuous quality chest compressions. And this is according to Sayer 2008. Once EMS arrives, ventilations will be added to compressions.
Is hands-only CPR as effective as conventional CPR?
Hands-only CPR is as effective as conventional CPR. In the first few minutes after sudden cardiac arrest, in out-of-hospital settings, it has been shown to be very effective. Several studies have shown no negative impact on survival when victims were given hands-only CPR. Other studies show equivalent survival to hospital discharge statistics. So in fact, it is just as effective as conventional CPR. And this is according to Sayer 2008.